Hi Cavaliers, it's Mrs. Letts, and today we're at the Ross County Heritage Center right here in Chillicothe. This is a fantastic place to come and learn about our history and about how things have changed over the years in our town. Let's go inside and talk to Miss Tarleton to find out about how things in your life are different from the way life has been at different points in our history in Chillicothe. Let's go on inside.
Thanks, Mrs. Letts. We are in my favorite room in the Ross County Heritage Center. This is the transportation room. Behind me you will see a wagon. This was called a Conestoga wagon. So I want you to think about what might have traveled in this wagon. What might this have been used for? This wagon was actually used for freight. Freight is another way to say goods. So people did not travel in this. This was not a passenger vehicle. This was used to transport goods from place to place. If you look here, you can see the type of roads, how the roads were made during this time, and they look very different than our roads. So another question that we're going to be thinking about is, what might have powered this or driven this? How did this move along these roads? You will notice that you do not see an engine or a motor anywhere on this Conestoga wagon, and that's because it was powered by horses. Now it took multiple horses to pull this because when it was loaded down with its freight, it was pretty heavy, but it was powered by horses in this time period. Now, there is a company in Chillicothe that specializes in making freight vehicles, like the Conestoga wagon, but a modern version. And that company is Kenworth. Does anyone know what Kenworth makes? And I want us to think, how are the freight vehicles made at Kenworth alike, and how are they different than the freight vehicles of the past, the Conestoga wagons? Now this is a passenger vehicle from around the same time period. Our Conestoga wagon was around 1820, and this is also in the 1800s, approximately 1890. This is a passenger vehicle. So that's different than freight. Passenger means that it's carrying people. So you would have ridden in one of these when you were trying to go from place to place if you lived in the 1890s. This is called a phaeton. And you will notice once again that this does not have a motor or an engine. So how might this have been driven? How does this look different than the vehicle that you are a passenger in at your home or in your town? We also can notice that there is something a little bit strange on this wheel here. Does anyone have any guesses as to why this would have been placed on top of the wheel? And finally, are there any similarities between this passenger vehicle of the past and our passenger vehicles like our cars and trucks and minivans that we use today? Let's think about this. All right, we're outside now at the Knowles Log Home here at the Ross County Historical Society. We're going to go inside and check out what it looks like, compare it to your own home. So I want you to start thinking about your own house and what it looks like on this inside, and we'll compare to this one. Come on inside. So we're coming in here to the main level of the home. It is one big open room, and this would have served as their family room, their kitchen, and their dining room. So we're going to take a moment to just make some observations and compare to how this is different than our home. If you look above me here, this was the lighting that was used in this time period. And I want you to think about, how is this different than the lighting that's used in your home? You're probably noticing, just like I am, that there are candles instead of light bulbs because there would not have been electricity in this home. These candles would have been made by the people that lived in the home. This is an example of a candle maker that they would have used. And it could have been made out of beeswax or tallow, which would have been animal fat. So the animal fat would have been the cheaper option. They would have poured it into these molds to form their candles, and that's what would have been used to light their home once the sun set. Over here is the kitchen. So I want you to take a moment and make some observations, and let's talk about how this kitchen looks different than the kitchen in your home. The first thing that I'm noticing that there's not a stove. In my home, I have an oven and a stove and a microwave and lots of appliances that require electricity and modern technology. Here, again, we did not have electricity, and the technology is just a little bit dated. So this would have been considered technology, but it's different than what we think of technology now as being. So this was their oven, and you actually could have roasted meat inside here. And this also would have been used to cook over. So you can see hooks, and they would hang pots on those hooks to cook their soup or whatever dish that we would put on a pot in the stove that would have been hung over the fire. So you are probably noticing that there are a lot of things that have changed over time.